Hi, I'm Erica, a mom, wife, and caregiver. I have been through the highs and lows of having a child with a medically complex background and special needs, all caused by epilepsy. I'm here to let you know you're not alone. There are so many resources out there, and that you too can and will come out on the other side stronger and more resilient than you ever imagined. It's not always easy, but I'm here for you. Welcome to the Parenting Epilepsy and Special Needs podcast. The weeks leading up to going back to school at the end of the summer can be a little stressful for any parent. Buying new clothes, shoes, backpacks, supplies, and everything else under the sun. But as a parent of a child with special needs, epilepsy, and a complex medical history, there are many other things that we need to consider and begin planning, possibly anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before school even begins. I was fortunate to learn all of this early on in my daughter's school career from another Hemi mom, and I am so grateful that I did. It makes the start of the school year a lot less stressful and easier on teachers, one-to-one aides or paras, therapists, and anyone who will be working or interacting with our daughter on a regular basis. The work that I put into leading up to the start of the school year assures me that my daughter is ready to go and that her school team is educated and prepared to work with her and care for her from day one. Don't get me wrong, it does still take time for her new team, or if there's new team members that are new to working with her, to get to know her and learn what works and what doesn't work. But I have heard year after year from both teachers, therapists, and paras how incredibly thankful they were that I thoroughly prepared them on not only how to best work with our daughter, but also how to care for her during a seizure and how to keep her safe and thriving across her school day. So I'm going to walk you through step by step what I do personally to prepare for the start of each school year. And I truly hope that all, or at least some of these steps, can help you and your child to start the school year off on the right foot. So first I complete I complete a fresh seizure action plan document for my daughter to be signed by her epileptologist. I usually just go to the Epilepsy Foundation website, print off the free seizure action plan PDF. I print that off and I complete that. I strongly encourage you to save a copy of the seizure action plan that you complete each year. I have a whole binder with my daughter's IEP. And then I don't know why. I like paper copies, and I also have electronic copies of things. So you can do what works best for you. But it really does help to stay consistent so that you don't forget to mention any key steps year after year. But it also helps if, as you're looking back at the past year, and if anything has changed in regard to how your team should be responding to a typical seizure or an emergency seizure that requires rescue medication, or, God forbid, even a trip to the emergency room. So it's important that this document is accurate and updated if your child's seizures changed throughout the school year. Then, after I complete this document, I also fill out, at least for our district, they call it medication authorization forms for any medications that our daughter will receive during the school day at her school. So for right now, this includes she gets a midday medication at lunchtime, as well as the authorization for the school to give her the rescue medication when an emergency seizure occurs. Once these documents are complete and filled out, I email them to our daughter's epileptologist to be signed and sent back to me. Our kids go back to school in mid-August, so I typically have these documents sent to the doctor right about after the 4th of July. Yes, this might seem early, but for our doctor, it can take roughly 2 to 3 weeks to get them back, depending on how busy they are. And I mean, obviously, with appointments and other things going on, how many other seizure plans are coming through to them to sign, it can get a little crazy, I'm sure. So I have found that it's always better to be proactive as opposed to waiting to the last minute. Get them signed earlier rather than later. Next, I purchase any required school supplies. My daughter, so she's 13 now, she has never liked shopping with me, and still does not like shopping. So I usually either purchase everything on the school supply list online, or I order through there's a company, I can't remember the name of it, but it's supplied by our school district, and they send all of the supplies straight to our home. It might be a few dollars more, but I'm all for efficiency and would prefer not to spend time in stores searching for the specific type of notebook, marker, or glue that my child's teacher is requesting. I'm all for making things easier on myself, so that's why I usually purchase all of it online and I'm finished. There are usually additional supplies required that are specific to my child, such as maybe extra pull ups, extra set of shorts or pants, t shirts, socks, a water bottle that is easy for her to use, lunchbox, and maybe a new backpack if she needs it. I try to buy backpacks that my daughter can get a few years of use out of. They're durable, stylish, or colors or patterns that she likes. I personally have had great luck with the Land's End brand XL backpacks. They seem to fit everything that she takes to and from school on a typical day, and they last. We usually get about 2 to 3 years out of them. My daughter has ankle foot orthotics or AFOs, so I will usually get her a new pair of Billy shoes to start off the school year. Again, as I mentioned, she does not like shopping, but I do still purchase a few new outfits for her to wear for the first day of school, picture day, etc. And on a side note, if you have traditions with older or younger children in your family, but you're like me and your child with special needs does not enjoy shopping, it's okay. You have other traditions with your child with special needs or complex medical needs. And definitely, it doesn't make sense to go shopping just to do it if it's not something that they enjoy. Now that she is a teenager, I have brought her with me to do some clothes shopping, specifically for things like, say, a new shirt for picture day. So, what I did this year was I took her with me. I told her it was going to be a very quick trip because she does know me and she knows I like to shop. But when I am shopping with her and for her, I try to keep it very efficient, right to the point, and let's be in and out and get it done. So I found, thankfully, 2 shirts that I knew she would like. Um, I showed them to her, and I know her, and I know that if I give her options, especially 2 options, she loves to choose and make a decision. So I showed her the 2 shirts. She picked out one for her 7th grade photo, paid for it, and off we went. I think we were in and out of the store in maybe 10, max 15 minutes. So it was a successful trip. Next is as the end of July approaches, I reach out to my daughter's teacher, her classroom teacher, that is. And for us, so our daughter is in a special education classroom. I realize there's different situations for every person. But when I say classroom teacher, that's who I'm referring to. And we organize a back to school meeting that must occur prior to our daughter starting school. This meeting usually takes place a few days before the first day of school. You might be thinking, what do we discuss at this meeting? It really depends on how our daughter is doing, if she has had any major surgeries, and how her recovery is going, any medication adjustments or changes that have been made, um, if there's any changes in seizures, or how we respond to her seizures. For example, that's a topic coming up for this upcoming school year. And then just anything else that is important for the team to be aware of that may have changed or be different from the prior school year. So while she was in elementary school, I believe we had 1 or maybe 2 years where this meeting wasn't necessary because nothing had really changed. Her school team stayed the same, her classroom teacher was the same. So I felt comfortable just sending her to school, maybe sending her teacher a quick note, maybe very simple things to be aware of that we didn't need a whole meeting for. I state this because I never want to schedule. I know for me personally, especially having a background a few years back working in the corporate world, I never want to have a meeting just to have a meeting. I don't want to waste my time or the school team's time. So if I'm requesting a meeting, it has to have a purpose and be important. When this meeting is held, it is typically no longer than an hour at the most, and it involves her entire team, which would include the classroom teacher, all of her therapists, social worker, and the school nurse. On some occasions, the principal would join us, but again, it just depends on the situation. I'm more concerned of the people who are going to be working with her every single day being informed and updated on what changes to know about. Overall, this has been a great way to inform the team of any health or seizure updates so that we can kick off the new school year on the right foot with all the pertinent information communicated to ensure that our daughter is safe and appropriately cared for across her entire school day. Next, as I prepare for back to school, I update my daughter's annual intro, I call it the Intro to Katie document, for new teachers, therapists, any paras or one-to-one aides and staff members who will be interacting with her and working with her on a daily basis. This document is especially helpful as your child makes big transitions, such as starting kindergarten, middle school, or high school. What is an Intro to Katie document, and what does that include? Well, this document highlights important areas teachers, paras, therapists, and staff should be aware of that most likely are included in her IEP, but it's typically in different language. So I like to create this document from the perspective of Katie. So, for example, I say, "Hi, my name is Katie. I enjoy playing with X, Y, and Z. When school begins, I look forward to," I'll list off a bunch of things, including maybe meeting new friends, working on my walking and my gait trainer, going on field trips in the community, and improving my reading and math skills. A few things about me that you should be aware of are I had a pretty big brain surgery when I was 4 in an attempt to stop my seizures. Unfortunately, my seizures still have not gone away. But as a result of this surgery, there are some things about me that you should know. I wear AFOs, or ankle foot orthotics, as well as a Benic arm brace on my left hand, and I should be wearing them all day at school. I then go on to explain why she cannot use her affected left hand since she had a right hemispherectomy and the need to keep it safe because she's pretty good about being aware of her left hand. But just in a school setting, maybe during the change of classes, I just want to be sure that whoever is with her is aware to keep that left hand safe. I explain her hemianopia or her partial vision impairment and how that impacts how she learns and views the world around her, literally through half of each eye. I reiterate the importance of a para or one-to-one aide needing to be with her and keeping an eye on her at all times, or she will try to escape or scoot away from the area and may possibly get into trouble because she can be curious. I explain how it can be difficult for her to hear in loud environments such as a gym, or if there's loud music playing during an assembly. I mention how, for people who are new to Katie, she can be somewhat difficult to understand at times if you're not comfortable with having conversations with her, or do it consistently on a regular basis, like our family and her teachers do. But over time, most people begin to understand what she is saying. So I mentioned that she can use her talker AAC device to have her explain or to have the person clarify what it is that she is trying to communicate. So in the next sections of this document, and again, I'm explaining and giving some summary and context around what I'm going over, but it's like a page and a half, if that. And in the next sections, I explain what Katie's seizures look like, how long they are, and how to respond. This is, after all, an important thing to be aware of. And even though Katie does have a seizure action plan, I can never leave this crucial information out of a document that might be read by a substitute that day or a backup para. So I always think it's very important to give as much information as possible. Then finally, I explain that she may need help with transferring drinks to her water bottle or a cup that she uses at school. So during lunchtime, if she has milk, she doesn't always drink it out of the carton, sometimes maybe with a straw, but then she also has a cup that she can use. And mention the assistance that she'll need while she's in the washroom. The last action item that I take, if necessary, is to schedule a hemispherectomy training with any new team members who will be working with Katie. So this one again is a pretty common action, like when she's starting kindergarten, middle school, and I'll do it again in high school. Sometimes it's needed if there's a big change in her team. But again, it's one of those things that I don't stress that this training is done or completed before school starts, because I've actually found that it's somewhat helpful for the team to get to know Katie first, and then it helps because it's pretty in-depth information that is conveyed in this training. So I found it's helpful to have it done maybe a week or two into the school year. So this training, this one is not usually done by me. I think I have done it once, but I'm on the training in case there's any questions that are specific to Katie, because just like with anything, even after a hemispherectomy, not all children respond the same or have the same outcomes. So I think it's important to be there as her voice to what does and doesn't apply to her. But the Pediatric Epilepsy Surgery Alliance offers this free training to school teams for children who have had a hemispherectomy surgery. It's quite informative and explains info about the impacts in the school setting after a surgery of this kind. I'll be honest, I mean, it's quite it's quite a life-changing surgery. And after the training, I often hear from teachers and staff that it was extremely informative and they are grateful to have this information. It often gives them new ideas on how to approach teaching and working with our daughter as the training goes in depth on how children learn, view the world, and process information after having a hemispherectomy brain surgery. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that, of course, all of this information was helpful, but if even one of these tips or sections were helpful to you, then I've done my job. So, as always, please share this with someone who could benefit from hearing today's episode. Don't forget to write a review or rate this episode. It would mean so much to me, and it helps get this show out to others who need this information. You can follow me on Instagram at parentingepilepsy_special needs. We'll see you on the next episode.